In the heart of an ancient forest, where the trees murmured secrets to those who dared listen, there lay a village lost in time. It was a place perpetually shrouded in twilight, where the sun rarely pierced the dense canopy above. The villagers lived simple, harmonious lives, but a constant unease seemed to linger in the air, a sense of dread they could never quite escape. For as long as anyone could remember, there had been tales of a cursed house at the edge of the forest, a house so feared that its name was rarely spoken. Once the pride of the Hargrave family, the mansion was now a symbol of darkness and terror. The Hargraves, once wealthy and influential, performed strange rituals within their home. One fateful night, the house was sealed from the inside, and when the doors were finally forced open, the entire family was found dead, their bodies grotesquely twisted as if distorted by some malevolent force. The house fell into disrepair, overtaken by the encroaching forest. The curse endured. The whispers of those who had ventured too close spoke of voices that promised power and knowledge at a dire cost. As generations passed, the fear of the Hargrave house faded into ghost stories told around fires. But time has a way of dulling even the sharpest fears, and the legends of the cursed house became little more than folklore to scare the young. It was during this period of waning fear that Daniel, a writer renowned for his exploration of the supernatural, arrived in the village. Drawn by the eerie legend of the Hargrave house, Daniel was a man of insatiable curiosity. He had delved into the occult, visiting haunted castles and conducting seances, but nothing had prepared him for what awaited him at the Hargrave mansion. The villagers, though wary of outsiders, were captivated by Daniel's charm and confidence. He spoke with the authority of someone who had faced the unknown and emerged unscathed. Yet beneath his calm exterior, Daniel was driven by a quest to uncover the ultimate truth behind the whispers and shadows of the Hargrave house. Despite the villagers' warnings, Daniel resolved to visit the mansion. Armed with notebooks, a camera, and various talismans, he ventured into the misty evening toward the house's edge. The path to the Hargrave house was overgrown, nearly hidden by the dense vegetation that had slowly engulfed it. As Daniel walked, the light seemed to fade, the trees closing in as if to swallow him. The mansion appeared suddenly through the fog, its dark silhouette looming ominously against the twilight sky. It was larger than he had imagined, its once grand facade now crumbling and overrun with ivy. The shattered windows stared back at him like empty eye sockets. A chill ran down Daniel's spine as he approached the front door. It was ancient, the wood splintered and rotting, but it held a sense of finality, an unspoken promise that once crossed, there would be no return. He hesitated for a moment, his hand hovering over the door handle. The air grew still, the forest quiet, as if holding its breath. With a deep breath, Daniel pushed the door open. The interior of the house was enveloped in darkness, illuminated only by the dim glow filtering through broken windows. The air was thick with the smell of decay and mildew, and the floorboards creaked under Daniel's weight. His flashlight revealed old furniture covered in dust and cobwebs, walls adorned with faded, peeling wallpaper. The house was eerily silent, yet Daniel felt an oppressive presence, a watchful, waiting force that made his skin crawl. As he ventured deeper, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that he was being followed. Shadows seemed to shift at the edge of his vision, but when he turned, there was nothing there. He dismissed it as a trick of the light, product of his overactive imagination. But the feeling persisted, growing stronger with each step. He reached the main hall, a grand space with a high ceiling and a massive staircase leading to the upper floors. The walls were lined with portraits of the Hargrave family, their stern faces staring down with cold, lifeless eyes. A strange unease settled over Daniel as he looked at them, as if they were watching him, judging him. Then he heard it. First whisper. Faint and barely audible, it sent a shiver down Daniel's spine. He froze, straining to hear, but the whisper was gone as quickly as it had come. He shook his head, telling himself it was just the wind or the house settling. But deep down, he knew better. The whisper returned, louder this time. A soft, seductive voice spoke words Daniel couldn't understand. His heart raced as he turned in a circle, trying to locate the source of the sound. But there was nothing, only the empty, dark hall and shadows that seemed to encroach upon him. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, as if trying to lure him closer. Daniel felt a strange compulsion to follow the sound. He took a step forward, then another, his feet moving almost of their own accord. The shadows seemed to reach out for him, pulling him deeper into the house. The whispers became a cacophony, overlapping voices filling his mind, drowning out his thoughts. They spoke of secrets, power, knowledge beyond imagination. They promised to reveal the truth, to show him things no mortal had ever seen. But there was a price. A terrible price Daniel was only beginning to comprehend. He reached the staircase and began to climb, the voices urging him onward. The steps creaked under his weight, the wood rotting and unstable. But Daniel was beyond fear now. He was entranced, consumed by the whispers. He had to know the truth, had to see what lay at the heart of the house. At the top of the stairs, Daniel found himself in a long, narrow hallway. The walls were lined with more portraits, but these were different, distorted, twisted images that shifted and changed as he looked. Faces of the Hargraves were now filled with pain and terror, their eyes wide with fear. Daniel broke into a cold sweat as he passed them, the whispers growing louder. At the end of the hallway was a smaller, almost hidden door. The whispers seemed to be coming from behind it, calling him closer. Daniel reached out a trembling hand and pushed the door open. The room beyond was small and dark, illuminated only by a flickering candle on a table. The walls were bare, the floor covered in dust and debris. On the table lay an old, leather-bound book. The whispers seemed to emanate from it, filling the room with their insidious presence. Daniel felt an irresistible urge to pick up the book, to read its contents. But as he reached out, the whispers grew frantic, their voices rising in fear and desperation. "Don't," they cried. "Don't open it. You don't know what you're doing." But it was too late. Daniel's hand closed around the book, and as he lifted it from the table, the whispers fell silent. The room was plunged into a deafening silence, the air growing cold. Daniel's breath came in ragged gasps as he slowly opened the book. The pages were filled with strange symbols, writing he had never seen before. The letters seemed to pulse with a life of their own, shifting and changing as he tried to read them. Daniel's eyes darted across the pages, the symbols dancing before him. The air was thick with foreboding, as if reality itself was fraying around him. He tried to focus, to decipher the cryptic messages, but the whispers returned, louder and more chaotic. "Unseal the knowledge," they urged. "Reveal the hidden truths." Despite his growing dread, Daniel's curiosity overpowered his fear. He leaned closer to the book, trying to make sense of the shifting text. Candle flickered violently, casting eerie shadows that twisted and writhed against the walls. The room seemed to pulse with ominous energy, the whispers blending into a single, insistent command. "Read it," they demanded. "Unlock the secrets." With trembling hands, Daniel began to read aloud. The moment his voice filled the room, the shadows seemed to come alive. They swirled and coiled around him, forming dark shapes that writhed and contorted. The temperature plummeted, and Daniel's breath became visible. The book's contents detailed incantations and rituals, descriptions of forbidden knowledge that promised unimaginable power. As Daniel spoke the words, the whispers grew frantic, their voices merging into a haunting symphony of dread. Suddenly, the candle went out, plunging the room into darkness. Panic surged through Daniel as he fumbled for his flashlight. The room seemed to close in on him, the shadows pressing against him like a living entity. The whispers became a chorus of angry voices, screaming accusations and threats. "You have awakened us," they roared. "You will pay for your insolence." An unseen force grabbed Daniel's wrist, yanking him away from the table. The book fell to the floor, pages fluttering wildly as if caught in a storm. Daniel struggled to free himself, but the grip tightened, pressure unbearable. In the suffocating darkness, Daniel felt the presence of something ancient and malevolent. It was as if the house itself was alive, its walls pulsing with dark energy. The shadows took on a tangible form, wrapping around him, squeezing him, making it hard to breathe. Desperate, Daniel tried to call out for help. No sound escaped his lips. The whispers continued their relentless assault, filling his mind with horrifying visions and revelations. He saw glimpses of the Hargrave family's fate, twisted bodies, distorted faces, and the lingering presence of the dark force that had claimed them. The shadows pressed closer, their grip unrelenting. Daniel's vision blurred as he felt himself slipping into unconsciousness. The last thing he saw before darkness consumed him was the book lying on the floor, its pages now still and silent. When he awoke, he was lying on the cold, dusty floor of the room. The book was gone, and the shadows had retreated. The room was silent, the oppressive atmosphere gone. Daniel struggled to his feet, his body aching, and his mind reeling from the horrors he had witnessed. He stumbled out of the room, down the hallway, and down the stairs. The house seemed eerily quiet, as if it were waiting for him to leave. He could still hear the echoes of the whispers, faint and distant, as he made his way to the front door. As he stepped outside, the first light of dawn was breaking through the trees. The forest was calm, the air crisp and fresh. The Hargrave mansion loomed behind him, its dark presence still palpable. Daniel never spoke of what happened inside the mansion. He left the village and moved far away, carrying with him the weight of the knowledge he had uncovered and the scars of the shadows that had nearly claimed him. The villagers continued their lives, never knowing the full extent of what had happened. The Hargrave house remained a forbidden place, a silent sentinel of darkness and despair, waiting for the next curious soul to awaken its whispers and suffer its wrath.